Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're talking about babies, specifically their hidden genius.
That's right.
It's amazing, isn't it? A tiny human, even starting in the womb, is just this powerhouse of learning. They're laying down the blueprint for who they'll become.
It really is astonishing. And today, we want to sort of decode some of that. We've looked at a lot of research, expert observations, developmental guides.
And we're giving you the shortcut, a way to really understand this pivotal journey that can sometimes feel a bit mysterious.
Exactly. We'll peel back the layers on just how much babies are absorbing even before birth. And we'll connect the dots, how these early experiences shape everything, from their first words to their deepest emotional bonds. The goal is clear, research-backed info, but in a way that feels, well, engaging and helpful, so you can grasp the why behind all those milestones.
Think of this as your guide to those aha moments. It's packed with surprising facts, practical takeaways you can actually use. We'll share insights that are pretty much universally applicable, hopefully helping you feel more confident, more connected, whether you're a parent or a caregiver. And hey, for even more trusted resources, more support, you can always check out www.babytidshealth.com. It's a fantastic place to keep learning.
Definitely a great resource.
Okay, let's jump in. First, big surprise. Language. It starts way, way earlier than you might think. Expert, how early are we talking here?
Well, this is what's truly fascinating. Research shows unborn babies aren't just floating passively, they're actively listening.
Really? Listening?
Yes. Before the end of the second trimester, they show this clear interest in the talk they hear around them.
How can we even tell?
We see evidence in subtle ways. Their heart rate might slow down for a moment, or they might briefly pause their fetal breathing movements, or just stop moving.
Wow.
It's like they're literally stopping everything to say, hang on, I need to hear this.
So, okay, they're listening in the womb. What does that actually mean for connecting sounds to meaning once they're born? Do they have a head start?
Absolutely, it seems they do. Experts suggest that babies have this innate ability, right from the get-go, to associate lip shapes with vowel sounds.
Whoa!
Yeah, it lines up with a theory that infants come pre-wired for language, almost like they have a built-in language app ready to go.
A built-in language app. I love that. But okay, get this, listeners. Newborns aren't just hearing sounds. They're already picking out patterns, even in languages they've never heard. How do we know that?
It's quite remarkable. Research indicates, for instance, that French newborns can tell the difference between filtered English and Japanese speech.
Languages they haven't been exposed to.
Exactly. And they do it purely based on rhythm.
Just the rhythm.
Just the rhythm. It suggests that the musicality, the rhythm of language, is one of the very first cues they latch onto for telling languages apart.
And this amazing ability to pick up on vocal nuances that just keeps going as they grow, right?
Yeah.
How does that show up in how they respond to us?
Oh, it absolutely does. Around 6 months or so, infants typically start babbling. And they are highly, highly attuned to speech directed right at them.
That baby talk.
That's right, what scientists often call infant-directed speech, or motherese, the higher pitch, the sing-songy tone we naturally use. Studies show infants prefer it.
Makes sense.
And get this, by about 5 months, they can even tell the difference between positive and negative speech just from the pitch, even if it's a language they don't understand.
Wow. Just the tone.
Just the tone.
Yeah.
So the consistency of a caregiver's tone, it plays a huge role in helping them figure out emotional cues and, crucially, build trust.
It's mind-boggling. Seriously, how much is happening behind those curious eyes before they even say mom or dada? It really makes you rethink every little chat you have near a baby. Okay, so from those first whispers of language, let's shift gears. Let's talk about connection, social emotional development. Expert, where does that journey start? What are the first building blocks?
Indeed. This is where the foundation for all future relationships gets laid. And it starts with parental bonding.
Okay.
When a caregiver responds, promptly and consistently to a baby's needs, picking them up when they cry, feeding them when they're hungry, it fosters what we call basic trust.
Basic trust. That sounds fundamental.
It is. It's a crucial first psychosocial stage. This trust creates a secure base. It allows the infant to feel safe enough to explore the world, knowing that comfort is there when things get stressful.
So responsiveness sounds like the absolute key. But what does that look like day to day? I mean, life with a baby is busy. What are some simple but powerful ways to support that bond?
Well, you see it happening all the time. Babies bond when their needs are met. You'll notice they calm down when spoken to or picked up by a parent or regular carer. They'll start to recognize your face, really look at you, and then respond with those intentional smiles. That's real engagement.
Melts your heart, doesn't it?
It does. And crying, remember, that's their main way of communicating. Hunger, discomfort, maybe they just want to be held. And often they love those contact naps, just feeling that physical closeness and security. It's all about meeting their needs in that moment.
It feels like every cuddle, every response is building something really profound. So what specific things can we do consciously to nurture that trust and security?
Responding quickly and importantly calmly to your baby's cries is foundational. It teaches them the world is generally a safe and predictable place.
Okay.
Maintain eye contact when you interact. Smile. Talk or sing gently. These things really grow those emotional connections.
Simple things.
Simple, powerful things.
Well,
Even using a mirror. Helping your baby explore facial expressions in the mirror can start building the foundations for self-awareness. Just remember, every moment of connection, no matter how small it seems, is building something important and lasting. And this brings up a key point. While every child absolutely develops their own pace, it's important to know when maybe you should seek a bit more guidance.
right. What kind of signs?
Well, if your baby isn't really smiling or interacting much with others by a few months old, or doesn't seem to make eye contact, or isn't making many facial expressions, it's always best practice to just chat with an expert, your doctor, your nurse practitioner.
Just to check in.
Exactly. Early observation and support, if needed, can make a huge difference, and you're not alone in figuring this out.
That's really important to hear. Okay, so beyond sounds and cuddles, babies are also masters of nonverbal communication, especially with their eyes. Expert, how early do they start reading us with their gaze?
Oh, it's fascinatingly early. Joint attention, that's the ability to look where someone else is looking, starts developing really young. Infants as young as 3 months can sometimes shift their gaze in the direction of an adult's attention.
3 months, wow.
Yeah, it gets much more reliable by 6 to 9 months, and by 12 months, their ability to consistently look where you look at a specific target is pretty impressive.
So they're following our lead.
They are, but they even get selective about it. They're more likely to follow the gaze of people who seem to have intentionality, whose actions look purposeful to them.
So their gaze isn't just random wandering, it's like a window into their developing understanding of our intentions. They're trying to figure out what we're interested in.
Exactly. It's social learning in action. And by 12 months, they can even use someone's gaze to predict what they might do next.
That's incredible.
And get this, there's research showing that how well a baby follows gaze at 10 months can actually predict their vocabulary skills later on.
No way. Gaze following predicts vocabulary.
It does. It just highlights how interconnected everything is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Social observation and language development, they go hand in hand.
Okay, what about pointing? That feels like such a classic baby move, but I suspect there's more to it than just, I want that.
Oh, absolutely. There are two main types of communicative pointing we talk about. First, there are proto-imperatives. That's the I want that point. Pointing at a toy they want you to get for them. It signals a desire.
Makes sense. And the other type?
The other type is arguably more profound. It's called proto-declaratives. This is when a baby points simply to share an experience with you.
Share an experience,
Like pointing at a bird flying by, not because they want the bird, but just to share the moment, the excitement of seeing it with you. Look, wow.
I see.
These declarative points are often seen as early evidence of a pro-social motive, a fundamental human drive to connect, to share attention and interest, not just get needs met.
That's a huge insight, pointing to share joy, not just demand things. Okay, but communication isn't always smooth, right? Even for us adults. What happens when a baby tries to communicate and we don't get it? How do they handle that breakdown?
It's amazing how resilient they are. Even as young as 11 months, infants actively try to repair these communicative breakdowns.
Repair them? How?
Well, if their first attempt, maybe a point or a sound, isn't understood, they don't just give up. They might repeat the signal, maybe louder. They might elaborate, add a gesture, or they might switch tactics completely and try a different signal.
They're problem solving.
They really are.
Yeah.
And by 18 months, check this out, they'll sometimes try to repair the miscommunication even if they've already gotten what they wanted.
Wait, why?
It shows they expect their signals to do more than just get stuff. They expect their signals to direct our attention, to be understood on that level. They're truly learning the rules of conversation.
It's like they're figuring out the unspoken rules of dialogue way before they can speak in full sentences. Incredible.
They really are. Research shows children are actively learning how to get and keep joint attention, how to establish common ground, how to make repairs when things go wrong, even how to estimate what's relevant in a conversation. They're constantly monitoring their own speech and others' speech, adapting as they go.
And they pick up on really subtle cues too, right? Not just the words, but like how we say things, maybe if we hesitate.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Children understand very early on that words are sort of socially agreed upon tools. They expect people in their community to use the same words for the same things. And they're super sensitive to cues from parents, like how we might gently correct them or rephrase things if they make a mistake.
Okay.
And for instance, studies show even 2-year-olds pay attention to speech disfluencies. Like if we say, or they're more likely to expect a new or unfamiliar word to follow that hesitation.
Wow, they're like little communication detectives.
They really are. It shows a remarkable level of social awareness and prediction.
Does this apply to humor too? Because sometimes it really feels like even little babies have a sense of playful teasing.
It seems so. Research suggests infants might signal their own little jokes with laughter and smiling from their first year, often looking right at you for a reaction.
Oh,
And parents definitely signal humor to toddlers. We might show exaggerated disbelief in our voice or actions, like, holding up a toy chicken and saying, "That's not a shoe." You're letting them in on the shared joke, the pretend play.
right,
Yeah,
the shared understanding.
exactly. Though this is an area where you can sometimes see developmental differences.
Mhm.
Children with autism, for example, might not process that social pragmatic layer of humor in quite the same way.
Okay, so putting all these communication layers together, the gaze, the pointing, the repairs, the sensitivity to tone, and even humor, what's the big takeaway for us? How can we best support this incredible journey?
Well, it just shows how intricately children learn to navigate their social world through language and interaction. It
Mm.
really highlights that it's not just what we say, but how we say it, how we respond, how we share attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth remembering that different cultures approach things like storytelling differently, which influences how kids learn to structure their own narratives. For example, some research suggests that in certain Latino communities, storytelling might focus less on strict chronology and more on describing the characters, the context, often involving relatives. It's all part of this rich, diverse tapestry of communication development.
That's fascinating. And you mentioned earlier some languages even build the source of information right into the grammar. That must shape how kids think from a really young age.
Yes. Languages like Turkish, Korean, Tibetan have what are called evidential markers, little grammatical bits that indicate whether you saw something yourself, heard it from someone else, or figured it out indirectly.
Wow.
Research suggests kids in these cultures might start using these markers pretty early, even if fully understanding the nuances comes later. But interestingly, one study comparing Turkish-speaking 4-year-olds with English speakers on memory tasks found something cool.
What was that?
The Turkish-speaking children, whose language forces them to think about the source of information constantly, actually performed better at remembering how they learned something. Did they see it? Were they told it?
So the language itself might be shaping their cognitive skills, like memory for sources.
It seems plausible.
Yes.
It's a fascinating example of how language and thought can subtly influence each other right from the start.
What truly stands out to you about how much these little communicators are capable of, even before they have many words? It really makes you think about all those unspoken conversations happening.
It really does. The drive to connect, to share meaning, it's just fundamentally human, and it's there so early.
Okay, while all this amazing language and social stuff is happening, babies are also making huge physical strides. I mean, it's a full body, full brain workout from day one. Expert, what are some of those exciting physical milestones parents often look forward to?
Absolutely. The physical development is happening right alongside everything else.
Yeah.
Milestones are basically things your baby does that show they're growing and developing as expected. Things like smiling back at you by about 2 months,
Yes.
making those little cooing sounds by 4 months, rolling from their tummy onto their back around 6 months, or looking for things they dropped by 9 months.
The classic drop the spoon game phase.
Exactly. Pediatricians track these at routine well-check visits. They're a general guide, but it's so important to remember every single child's journey is unique.
Definitely. Now, tummy time, we hear about it constantly. Why is it actually so important? And maybe more importantly, how can we make it a positive experience? Sometimes babies don't seem thrilled about it.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Tummy time is crucial, primarily because it develops strength in the neck and upper body.
Okay.
And that strength is what they need for rolling over, for sitting up, and eventually for crawling. Experts recommend starting really early, basically as soon as possible after birth, even for just a minute or two.
So start small.
Yes, short, frequent periods are key. Aim to build up so it adds up to maybe 30 minutes spread throughout the day as they get a bit older.
And tips for making it fun. Or less stressful if they protest.
Absolutely. For younger babies, you can roll up a small towel and place it under their shoulders to give them a little lift. Get down on the floor with them. Make eye contact. Use fun, age-appropriate toys. Make encouraging sounds.
Be part of it.
Exactly. And if they really get upset on the floor mat, try alternatives. Lay them tummy down across your lap, or even on your chest while you're reclined. The goal is positive engagement and muscle building, not forcing something stressful.
That's really helpful. What about those bigger movements, those moments that feel like huge steps towards independence?
Oh, those are thrilling to watch. Usually between about 8 and 12 months, you see big changes. Babies start getting into a seated position all by themselves. They might start crawling in all sorts of unique styles.
Ah, yes. The army crawl, the scoot.
Exactly. They start pulling themselves up to stand, maybe holding onto furniture, and then cruising, taking steps while holding on. Some might even take their first independent steps around this time.
Such an exciting phase.
It really is. And by 18 months, most toddlers are busy exploring, super curious. They might be able to stack a few blocks, make marks with a crayon, maybe pull off their own shoes, and often start feeding themselves, somewhat messily, with a spoon.
The mess is part of the learning.
Absolutely. And activities that need two hands, like building with blocks or trying to unscrew a bottle lid, those are fantastic for coordination and also help them figure out which hand feels more natural, their dominant hand.
Okay, shifting to the health side for a moment. Immunizations. Big topic for new parents. Lots of information out there. It's vital to have clear, reliable info. What's the general schedule early on?
Yes, clarity is key here. The first set of scheduled immunizations typically happens around 6 weeks of age. These provide protection against several serious diseases, things like diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough, hepatitis B, polio, and others, depending on the specific schedule in your region.
Okay, 6 weeks is the first major point.
Generally, yes. And the next round of doses usually comes around 4 months. These are really vital steps in protecting your little one from illnesses that used to be very common and dangerous.
Good to know. And feeding, what's the recommendation for those first few months?
The general recommendation from major health organizations is exclusive breastfeeding for about the first 6 months of life, wherever possible and desired.
Why is breast milk emphasized so much early on?
Well, that very first milk, colostrum, is incredible stuff. It's packed with nutrients, good bacteria, and antibodies that help protect the baby from infections. It's like their first natural immunization.
Okay. And if breastfeeding isn't happening?
Then infant formula is the recommended alternative. It's a special type of milk powder that's been carefully developed to meet the specific nutritional needs of babies during this critical growth period. Then around the 6-month mark, babies typically start showing signs they're developmentally ready for solids. It's not just about age, it's about readiness cues.
What kind of cues?
Their digestive systems start producing more of the necessary enzymes. They usually have much better head and neck control, so they can sit up and manage food. Their kidneys are more developed. Their immune system is better equipped to handle potential germs in food.
Uh-huh.
And that tongue thrust reflex, where they automatically push things out of their mouth with their tongue, that starts to diminish, which allows them to actually swallow solids more easily. It's a whole set of developments coming together.
A natural progression. Okay, what about introducing water? And the big one, cow's milk. There seems to be a lot of confusion around when those are okay.
Good questions. After 6 months, once solids are being introduced, you can start offering small amounts of boiled and cooled tap water.
Boiled and cooled. Why?
Vital to boil it first to kill any potential germs, and then cool it right down so there's no risk of burns. This is offered alongside breast milk or formula, not replacing it.
Okay, and cow's milk.
Cow's milk is the one to wait on. It should not be given as a main drink, replacing breast milk or formula before 12 months of age.
Why the wait until 1 year?
There are a couple of reasons. Cow's milk doesn't have the right balance of nutrients for infants under 1, particularly iron sores. It can actually lower their iron stores. Plus, the levels of protein and salts are too high for their still developing kidneys and digestive systems. So definitely wait until after the first birthday for cow's milk as a primary drink.
That's really clear advice. And like you said, every child is unique. These milestones, these timelines, they're broad guidelines. It's really a journey, isn't it? Not a race.
Exactly. Developmental milestones are useful tools. They serve as a guide for what typical development looks like, and pediatricians use them to track progress at those routine well-check visits for a general timeline.
Right.
But it's so crucial to remember that every single child develops at their very own pace. What's really important isn't hitting every mark on the exact day, but identifying any potential concerns early so you can get the right support if it's needed.
So if a baby isn't hitting a specific milestone exactly on time, what does that usually mean? Should parents immediately worry, or is it more about gentle observation and maybe checking in?
It's definitely more about gentle observation and checking in rather than immediate worry. Some variation is totally normal. However, significant delays in areas like communication, motor skills, or cognitive function can be observed sometimes.
Are there factors that might influence the timing?
Yes, research shows various factors can play a role, things like maternal age or education, birth weight, exposure to certain stresses. It's complex. But the absolute key here is early identification if there is a delay.
Why is early identification so critical?
Because research into early intervention is incredibly positive. It consistently shows significant benefits. Children who receive needed therapeutic services early on often make great gains in their developmental milestones. For example, if a baby isn't babbling much, it might indicate a hearing issue that needs checking. If they're not engaging in symbolic play later on, it could suggest potential cognitive or social development challenges.
So it's about being aware, being proactive, getting things checked if you have a niggle, rather than sitting and worrying or feeling anxious.
Precisely that. It's not about inducing anxiety or self-criticism. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge and knowing when it's wise to reach out for professional input.
That feels like a much healthier approach.
It is. The most important takeaway message is this. If you have any concerns about your baby's development, whether they seem big or small to you, please always consult an expert. Talk to your doctor, your child health nurse, a developmental specialist.
Don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate.
Mm.
They can offer personalized guidance and support tailored to your child. And please remember, you are absolutely not alone on this parenting journey. There are so many resources and professionals out there ready and willing to help you and your child thrive.
What an incredible deep dive we've had into this first year or so of life. From those very first subtle responses in the womb, right through to those amazing first steps and words. It's just crystal clear that babies are on this incredibly accelerated learning curve, constantly absorbing, constantly adapting.
It really is awe-inspiring.
It's a testament to the sheer wonder of human development and also to that powerful, essential connection between caregivers and these amazing little humans.
And we really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable nuggets of knowledge, maybe a few of those aha moments we talked about, and perhaps even a renewed appreciation for just how complex and beautiful this journey of infant development truly is. Knowing how much is happening behind those curious eyes,
Right.
that can be incredibly empowering for you as a parent or caregiver. It can help you feel even more connected.
Absolutely. And if you are eager to explore more, maybe some questions popped into your head during our chat, we genuinely love to hear from you.
Please do reach out.
You can find a wealth of trusted information, more articles, resources, and a real sense of community over at www.babykidshealth.com. It's a fantastic place to continue your learning journey and feel supported.
It really is. And hey, we'd be happy to try and answer your questions in a future deep dive. So please reach out on social media, let us know your thoughts, any topics you'd like us to explore next time.
We want this to be useful for you.
Exactly. Remember, knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and you can actually apply it. We're here to help you on that path. And remember, you're not alone in this together. We're stronger.
So as you go about your day, maybe reflect on today's conversation. Consider this. How might understanding a baby's earliest communication, even before words, right back to those first sounds and gazes, how might that change the way you interact with and respond to the little ones in your life? Keep observing, keep connecting, and definitely keep learning.